I've been running this resting challenge on Instagram. I'm fairly new to Instagram, but I've teamed up with two other women who are also restorative yoga teachers, and we've been encouraging people to just do some rest. And I keep hearing from people, oh, I love seeing the pictures on Instagram of you doing your resting, and I'd love to join you, but I'm just so busy. And I keep thinking, that's exactly the point. That's why we need this kind of resting. Like, the busy we are, the more time we need to carve out to rest. There's this sort of funny tongue-in-cheek saying, I don't know who said it first, but it kind of circulates around the yoga world about meditation. It goes, if you don't have 10 minutes to meditate, you should be meditating for an hour. No, this is the idea that we have to make some really purposeful time. We have to carve it aside and say, I am resting. Yes, there's a lot to do, and also I need to rest because it's what my body needs. It's what we need to get through this crazy time. The more things that we add to our plate, the more demands we put on our energy and our time, the more the front part of our brain amps up, right? It keeps sending these messages to our body that we need to stay on high alert. And the only way that we can shift those messages, that we can downgrade our brain's activity and our nervous system, is by making ourselves rest. And it's not the same thing as, like scrolling on social media. It's not the same thing as like watching Netflix or watching the shows on sort of binging them. It's not the same thing as lounging around. It's actually really purposefully choosing to remove ourselves from the kinds of demands that we put on our mind and our mental energy. So this is our whole plan tonight. Just a whole bunch of rest. We're talking about physical rest for the body, but we're really also talking about rest for the mind space. We don't need a lot of props. That's the whole point of me doing this very minimal prop practice this evening. We don't need a lot of fancy stuff. We just need a little bit of quiet space where we can commit to not doing as much. So that's the plan. We can actually get some of the blankets ready before we lie down. I kind of like having that, stack of stuff prepared. So one of your blankets, take it and open it up as long as it can go. So I'm using a sort of official yoga blanket, but if you were using like a beach towel or something, it'd be like open to its widest distance. And then roll it up down the long edge. It's a little awkward to roll when the blanket is so long, but you get the idea. You want to have this like very long and skinny roll. It doesn't have to be super dense, but just enough that it will like hold its shape. And then take your second blanket. You maybe want that third one if you're going to cover yourself up. Take the second blanket and open that up so that it's not quite as long as it goes. If this was a yoga blanket, it'd be like open 1 or 2 times from how it comes off the pile. And then fold that on the long edge. So you have this kind of skinny, long, rectangular shaped blanket. And then you just put that lengthways down the middle of your yoga mat. And you can put the rolled up blanket around by the end wherever it lands in a good place for you. So those are the first 2 things that you're going to need for the first posture of our practice tonight. And then find a good seat. Or if you're already feeling like lying down, you can go ahead and lie down already. You can sit cross-legged or kneeling. Take any seat that works best for you. And then take your hands and flip your palms down. Let your hands rest on your thighs. Slide your hands back far enough that your elbows are just hanging easily down from your shoulders. Shouldn't feel like you're reaching or straining or doing anything awkward with your arms. Just let them land. And close your eyes. We're talking about rest tonight as a way of putting a pause in the doing. This kind of putting a pause comes in all different forms. Putting a pause in our brain's activity, in our problem-solving part of mind. Putting a pause so that our body doesn't feel strained or stressed or stretched even. Our work tonight is to create a very comfortable and supported place for the body, so that as body rests, mind is encouraged to rest as well. Well, this resting isn't the same thing as going to sleep. There's something about checking out. That's kind of unconscious rest, and we need that too. But this work tonight is not about sleeping. It's about noticing the resting, choosing to observe it. Not to analyze, not to solve problems, not to be creative and thinking, but just to watch. Start this kind of practice of watching and notice your breath. You can notice the breath wherever it's moving in your body. Maybe you could feel it passing in and out of your nostrils. Maybe you can feel the breath lifting in your chest. Maybe you can feel breath at belly. Sometimes it's surprisingly difficult just to watch the breathing, not to manipulate it or do anything with it. You're not meant to count or keep track. Not even meant to narrate to yourself. Just watch. And every time that your mind strays, every time you start thinking of something else and noticing something other than the breath, that becomes a kind of awareness moment. A kind of check to see that, oh yeah, your mind is actually still thinking. Bring your mind back to the breath. Our job tonight is not just to hold the body and the breath in stillness and not move or not let the mind wander or twist or turn, but instead just to notice every time that our mind goes away as a chance to bring it back. Every time the mind spins off and we start to notice that's happening, we bring our mind back to connection, to the breath, to the restful moments that we're creating. There's always room for an intention, a way to commit to whatever it is that you want or need from your yoga practicing. Take your hands together now and join them in front of your heart. Rest your thumbs at your sternum and sit up just a little bit taller, especially if you find that as you've been sitting, you've been slouching or slumping. Whatever it is that's brought you to this practice tonight, connect with that intention. When we sing together the sound of Om, we take the energy of our individual intentions and put it into something expansive and collective. The Om is our agreement to rest deeply together. Everyone, please exhale your breath all the way out. Then inhale deeply. Rest your hands back down into your lap and keep your gaze soft as you blink open your eyes. All right, turn your body so that you're sitting with your back to the short end of this folded blanket. Put the soles of your feet flat onto the floor, and then bring your long, skinny, rolled up blanket, find the middle, and pull the middle of the blanket around the front of your ankles. Then grab the other ends of the blanket and slide them back around your outer hips. So what's happening here is that the blanket is tucked around your outer ankles all the way around to your upper thighs. Then drop your knees out to the sides so the blanket catches your legs from opening up too fast or too far. It should feel really contained around your outer legs. From here, lie back onto the folded blanket. It's a kind of tiny version of Baddha Konasana.
Normally when we practice this pose, we're propped up quite high. This is meant to be really low. We're super low to the ground here. You can use the rolled up blankets to help control the way that your legs have landed in the pose. But remember, this is not meant to stretch your legs. We're not looking for big opening here. It should feel really cozy and settled. If you find that your legs need more support, take the tail ends of your blanket and tuck them under your thighs so that your thighs are held a little higher in the pose. You're welcome to do whatever you like with your arms. You can let them rest by your sides. Flipping palms upward allows you to be a little more open across the front of your heart. It could be nice to bend your elbows and let your hands just rest on your belly. If you're finding that you would appreciate having a little more height under your head, if your blanket's long enough, you could just flip under the tail end of your blanket to give your head a little smidge of a lift. You're also welcome, of course, to add any other props that I haven't included, but if you wanted to have a pillow under your head or some other extra prop there, you could do that. And it can be quite nice to use a blanket to cover the front of your body. If you've got that spare blanket nearby, especially if your house is on the cooler side like mine is this evening, having an extra blanket can feel really cozy. Give yourself permission to find the comfortable place here. Much lower than we usually practice this kind of back bend. But still feel how even with these minimal support, you can settle into a restful place. While we are meant to be cultivating stillness and comfort in the body, please remember you're not stuck. If at any time you need to shift or change or adjust the position that you're practicing, you can make that adjustment at any time. Just like we did in those first few moments of the practice, bring attention to your breath. Find the place in your body where the breath is most obvious. Maybe still moving back and forth across your nostrils. Or perhaps you can feel the breath across your chest or at your navel. Observe the movements of your breath. If you find that your mind keeps wandering off or getting caught up in some problems or some interesting thoughts, it just gives you an opportunity to practice bringing your attention back. Whenever your mind wanders, you can think of it as another opportunity to practice yoga. If you catch yourself slipping off towards sleep, bring your attention back to your breath. If you find that your body starts to feel uncomfortable or unsettled, wait before you immediately move. Discomfort may dissolve. But at the same time, know that you can always adjust. That intention distracts you again. Continue to observe the movements of your breath. wherever you feel them in your body. attention back from wherever your mind might have just been. Come back to notice your breath. Notice anything else there might be to notice as well. Notice how your body feels in this pose. If you did in fact find some moments of conscious resting. Then, moving slowly, reposition your legs so that the soles of your feet are flat on the floor. Extend your legs out along the floor in front of you and shuffle that rolled up blanket out to the side. Pause for just a second and notice what your legs feel like. Then bending your knees so your feet are flat on the floor. Roll over to your side. Tuck your chin in and pull your knees in. Pause for just a moment to breathe. Then use the support of your hands and the strength of your arms. Push your body all the way back up into your seated position. Close your eyes as you get back to your seat. Notice if the seat feels different now than when we started. Let your attention rest on your breath again. Every time something rises up to distract you or to pull your mind away, you get a chance to re-engage, to awaken and remember we're just watching the breath and nothing else. Keeping your body relaxed and your gaze soft, blink open your eyes. Take the folded blanket that had been under your back and organize it so that it could be a pillow for under your head. Perhaps you have some way that you like to have support for your head, one layer or maybe two. This rolled up blanket that you made earlier will be purposed for other things. You can just shuffle that off to the side. If you want to take an extra moment to fold it or to put it neatly somewhere near the side of your yoga mat, you're welcome to do that. And you'll just need your second blanket as a little extra weight for your knees. Come to lie down on your back again so that your head is resting on the folded blanket. Some of you used to practice restorative practice with me in person, and I used to do this little tuck in around your head. You can do it yourself. You just take the edges of the blanket and slide them in until you have this little hood around the sides of your head. Should be that you can sort of crumple up or bunch up the blanket all the way down so it fills up the space behind your neck and even all the way up around the top of your head as well. It should feel kind of cozy. Of course, that's optional. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. Then wiggle your feet a little farther apart, maybe more towards the outer edges of your yoga mat if you're using a mat. And drop your knees in towards one another, kind of resting in like a lean-to. Take your second folded up blanket and drape it across your knees or across your belly. If you can give just a little extra weight to the lower half of your body, maybe your blanket's long enough like mine is to put some weight on knees and also across the front of thighs, can help remind you that the energy of this posture is traveling downward. You could put hands on belly again if you like, or put your arms out by your sides, kind of casual position. Pick the way that your arms are happiest. And then close your eyes again. Go back to the movements of your breath, noticing it with your whole attention. The idea is not to change or manipulate the breath in any way, but instead to just give you a thing to observe. The sensation, the automatic movement of inhale and exhale. Every time your mind tries to spin away, you so sweetly bring your attention back.
attention back from wherever your mind might have been. Notice your breath. Notice your body. Move slowly to wiggle your feet closer together. Draw your knees all the way in towards your chest. Use your hands to support your legs. You could even rock a little from side to side, just very gently. Then roll all the way over onto your side. Tuck your chin in and pull your knees in. Take a moment to curl in and breathe around your back and heart. And then use the support of your hands and your arms. Push your body up into a seated position. Notice how you feel. If this seat feels different than the one you were sitting in when we began. Let your attention rest with your breath again. No need to adapt or to manipulate the breath. Remember, this practice is about doing much less. Allow the breath to move as it moves and just watch. Quiet the mind's busyness into this job alone, to observe the movement of the breath. Keep your gaze soft as you blink open your eyes. Take one of your blankets and roll it up. I find that the rolled up blanket here will hold its shape a little better if you open it up one time before you roll. So we're rolling on the short end this time instead of on the long edge. And then put that towards the end of the mat, wherever you'd like your feet to go. You might find that you want your second blanket to be for your head, or you may want the second blanket for across your back. We're gonna come belly down for this next one. I know that I like having the blanket for under my head, so I'm gonna place it there. The rolled up blanket is meant to support your ankles. So as you come onto your belly, place your ankles over the rolled up blanket. You can let your head rest in any way that's comfortable for you. It might be that you just turn your head to the side, or some folks like making a little pillow to rest their forehead on forearms. You could even play around with folding the blanket so that the blanket has a little forehead rest for you. You can put your arms in any position that you like. And as always, give yourself a few extra moments to get settled in, to find the just right place for your head and for your legs, the place where you can breathe the best, and above all, the place where you can rest the best.
It's a different way of experiencing the breath in this pose. You might find that you can feel the breath in your nose better. Or maybe here you're feeling that the breath is moving in your back more clearly than it was before. Let your attention come to your breath. Each time your mind wanders, it's a new opportunity to bring your mind back. bring your attention back if your mind had wandered off. Notice your breath. But notice what else there is to notice. Moving slowly, bend at your knees so you're lifting your feet into the air. Then very gently rock your legs from side to side. Using your hands for support, push your body up back into your seated position. Close your eyes as you get back into your seat. Notice if you're feeling different than when you first sat down. And return to watching your breath. Keeping your gaze soft, blink open your eyes. For the final pose of practice tonight, choose a Shavasana shape that will lead you to be the most comfortable that you've been the whole evening. Maybe you'll decide to lie down on your back again. This rolled up blanket could be a nice adjustment for under your knees if you need a little extra support. You're welcome to go back to the diamond shaped position for your legs or to simply have your knees bent with your feet flat on the floor. Take your time to get comfortable. Make sure that your body is warm, that you're able to be in the position where you can rest entirely. Especially if you're choosing a position where your body is stretched out along the floor. Separate your legs wide. Make space between your arms and your body. Let your hands rest on your belly. As we continue to seek out this more quiet space for body, rest as comfortably as you can in the physical body. Let your mind rest again at the movement of your breath. Perhaps it's breath at your nose or in your chest, or even down low into your belly. attention back from wherever your mind was wandering. Notice your breath. Notice anything else there is to notice about your body and the experience you're having in this pose. Moving slowly, start to wiggle and move in any way that feels good for you. Perhaps start with a few wiggles to your fingers and your toes. Then move your wrists and your ankles. Bend at your elbows. Bend your knees and bring the soles of your feet onto the floor. Draw your knees in closer to your chest. Use your hands to hold on. Could rock a little bit from side to side. Roll all the way over. Tuck your chin in. Curl in around your heart. Then push yourself back up into your seated position. Notice whatever there is to notice here about this seat. And then one last time in our practice tonight, hold body still and observe your breath. Rejoin your palms together, back at your heart center. This gesture of intention setting, it reminds us to take a rest. But especially when times are busy, when there's a high demand on our mind, we need these moments to regroup. We need the opportunity for conscious resting to relax the intensity of mind's requirements, to find ease in body. This allows us to move forward into whatever is next with a lightness, with an easefulness. And close our practice by singing one more Om. Exhale your breath all the way out. Inhale deeply. From these moments of rest that we find peace, and we wish for this peace to extend to all beings everywhere. Om Shanti, Shanti,
Shanti Om. Peace, peace, peace.